Hey, thank you for joining. Shane has not joined yet, but I'd like to start some notices before starting this OpenChain SBOM study group, number 6. And after joining, Shane joining, uh, I asked Shane to make some comments. Okay. Thank you for joining today. And as always, I'd like to show the antitrust policy notice from the Linux Foundation. This SBOM study group is under the Linux Foundation activities, Linux Foundation open chain activities. So please make sure this antitrust policy notice and follow this antitrust policy notice. Oh, Shane, thank you, Joe, for joining. I've already studied and I mentioned about the antitrust policy notice.
Thank
And
you so much.
yeah, thank you. And also, we'd like you to follow the code of conduct from the Linux Foundation as well. Okay, that's all from the beginning statement. And Shane, do you have any opening comment?
Yes, I have one or two. The first opening comment is that recently I have been traveling a lot in Europe. I was meeting policymakers in Brussels, people in business in Paris and Berlin, and everyone was seeing the careful management of software information as critical. So the idea of having accurate, useful, practical information about software was a key, clear goal. And that means that what we're doing in the SBOM study group, where we look at the idea of what is a quality SBOM, what helps with compliance or regulation, what we are doing is very practical. It's very topical. It's very necessary. The second thing was that I just wanted to highlight that I'm very glad we are discussing multi-industry and multi-standard approaches because we have a very complex supply chain. And it will be important that companies of all sizes in all industries will be able to use our outputs regarding quality software bill of materials. All right, that's it for me.
Thank you, Shane. Okay, I'd like to proceed my presentation. And the first slide is, sorry, can you see my slide?
Yes, the slides
Okay,
are showing perfectly.
thank you. Okay, first slide is a recap of the previous meeting. At a previous meeting, we shared the base thoughts on SBOM quality and proposed to discuss about our challenges we still have. And I created materials and combined these figure and explain the challenges we still have and propose to create challenges and a solution idea on the GitHub issues or GitHub discussions. And the result, Yari-san, thank you very much. We got the first good issues on the GitHub idea for the SBOM study group. So, but I'm sorry, I noticed this as issues just today. So I don't prepare anything today. So I'd like to continue to discuss this matter from next time or next time. So today uh, I bring one topics. In the OpenChain Japan, regional communities have SBOM SBOM subgroups. And we discussed and still discussing the current challenges of SBOM quality and sharing ideas for solutions within the Japanese community. So today I'd like to, and Shane have kindly shared this full analysis on the website. So I'd like to share some challenges and some ideas today. And I picked up first challenges, very interesting one. You can refer these challenges on the GitHub in translated in English. And the first one is inconsistency of component granularity. As, as you know, we receive some SBOM document from multiple suppliers. But one SBOM supplier provided detailed information as a file level with the file level information. But another one, we got compiled data at the package level. And this inconsistency occurs some troubles or some efforts to merge one SBOM after the developing inside our companies. So it is our challenges where we currently have. And we discussed and produced proposal solutions and automation feasibilities. About these challenges, we set a checkpoint, and these are only the proposal. Identification of the granularity used in each SBOM. We need to check when we received SBOM. Is it file level or package level, and so on. And check differences in the level of detail provided. And the proposal solution, this means processes or mechanisms, clarify the desired granularity is industry-wide or internally. We need to discuss and, we need to define the desired granularity inside our supply chain and adopt a unified format with corresponding guidelines. And the next proposed solution is build a conversion tool, intermediate tool, to normalize and standardize the granularity of the SBOM data received. These conversion feature have not provided any tools as far as I know. So there is a good opportunity to discuss about this. And some members mentioned automation is a key point to handle the SBOM. So we discussed about the automation. These challenges can be automated from the perspective to create parsers or conversion scripts that transform various SBOM formats into a unified one. But still existing manual verification. In case where the tools, where the rules are complex, and final verification might require human judgment. This is outline of our discussion and proposal solution of automation. So, are there any comments or discussions about how we this kind of summary of these discussions? Anyone, does anyone
Y-
have?
Yes, just one comment. Um, what we said at the beginning of this work group is that we wanted to define the quality SBOM, but in a format agnostic way, which is a good thing. But when you speak of tooling, having conversion tools, you have to define a format. Isn't that a contradiction?
Oh, go ahead, please, Anthony-san. Nothing?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Conversion tools are a challenge, and this is converting between SPDX and Cyclone DX. I assume that's what you mean, my Mark. I think there's another. I agree. You should be talking about content, not format. I think the format problem is easy to solve. It's the content problem, and I think I put a comment in the chat. I think we need to be very precise about asking what we want the SBOM to be used for. If we want to use it for license compliance, I think that's a different use case to using it for vulnerability management. And I think the content of the SBOM will determine what your use case is. I do not believe you can convert from a file level to a package level easily. I think that conversion is probably very difficult. But I think you need to understand the use case really, and we need to be very explicit when you ask a supplier for an SBOM what you're going to use it for. And I think we are not, we just say, give me an SBOM at the moment. I think we need to be very precise.
Thank you. Okay.
Uh,
I
Hi,
oh
I have one more point. So Rakesh here. I think I also second some of the points which Anthony had mentioned. So I feel that the checkpoints depends on what exactly is your use case and to what depth you want the SPOM to be based on your use case, because we see that some suppliers have like a very mature OSPO, and they've been like delivering reports for many years, so they know that what are the critical informations that has to be given to the customers. But then probably some of the suppliers might not have the same experience. So I think the inconsistency basically comes from the voices process which exists in them. That is one point. But then what exactly as a end customer do we need with the SPOM? What is that like we are trying to achieve? Is it something that goes into a device, or is it something that are you acting as an integrator, meaning like you're not the end customer, but then you're going to pass it? So I think depending on that, the granularity could differ. So if you say that I'm okay to have the package level information that's sufficient for me, then I think you do not have to go to the file level. But if your use case mandates this, then I guess this has to be upstreamed to the supplier who is supplying. So they need to know exactly what is it you're looking for. I think one of the solution which we are currently thinking about is to have a schema wherein we tell that hey, this is what we want. If you have an SPDX so and so version, then this is what we are looking for. For me, these parameters are mandatory, and these parameters are optional. So with that approach, we kind of tell them in advance, even before all this process happens, that this is my requirement. So I think using that, we could probably solve the checkpoints problem. So that is one point. And with respect to automation feasibility, I would say it becomes really difficult. Let's say even if we have like some automation, because it is like a double effort. Like I get an SBOM and then I have to work again on top of that. Probably I have um, to perform some scanning or put some manual effort to add more information if it has to be a manual verification. So the I think one of the ideal ways to probably upstream your requirement to the supplier and say that this is the schema that I have and this is what I want, and address it at the beginning itself, so that it helps us to save a lot of effort or meetings. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So first, let me answer Mark Echen's question. And I intend, rather than discussing the tools themselves and the format or content itself, I think defining the know-how or processes to solve these problems will lead to higher quality. So main point is propose what we should check and how to check with processes or mechanisms. This is a key, I think. And next, it depends on use case. Many people said it's the good point. I think it makes one of the process. We should check we need to have the check the use case. So please provide the use case to the supplier and so on. It's one checkpoint possibilities. So, and discussion of the automation, I understand it's very difficult, but SBOM handling is one of the key points is automation. So we need to think about the automation from the automation perspective to realize these processes and checkpoints. What do you think, Mark-san?
Yes, I think automation is a key part of what we want to do. We have now very big software, and if we cannot automate, it will be difficult. And yes, for that I think we need to still define the format we expect as precisely as possible.
Thank you. We have many comments. I'll summarize and I'll check later. Are there any other comments or questions?
Yes.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, this is Zin from Taiwan. I have one question. I'm just curious about the level. As you mentioned, you have the level. So the definition of the level is important.
Okay, sorry. This is my mistake for writing the English. I intended to express that sometimes we receive the SBOM described each file. And sometimes we receive SBOM written in only package information only. So the granularity described the software information is different from multiple suppliers.
I see. So I'm just curious about how many levels do we have and the definition. That is my question. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. If anyone has knowledge, please share. But I faced file level and package level and snippet level. And sometimes it's from the security perspective, it's described only as a product level. Are there any thoughts from the others?
Yeah, I think it's correct. Like at least SPDX, supports package, file, and snippet level. I'm not sure about Cyclone DX.
Cyclone DX has slightly different granularities. I mean, it goes at higher level. It even goes to containers and systems, which is higher than package. But he can go down to file level. It's just generally it's looking at more at the build process because that's really looking at the vulnerability management because that's his prime use or initial use case was looking at vulnerability management, which is generally at the package level. So both have the uses, depends on the use case.
Yeah, although nowadays one could discuss like if the vulnerabilities need to go to snippet level as well, but that's another discussion.
It's a very big discussion. That yeah. I've been having discussions about going down to function level of it within a package in Cyclone DX, which is similar to snippets.
Yep. Yeah, I've been talking with some security suppliers, and there's the discussion that indeed that if it needs to go to the function or method level, because if somebody copy pastes the vulnerable function to their proprietary code, then of course one should be able to detect that as well.
Thank you. I realize it's not only the license issues, but also the security issues from the snippet level. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's just a theoretical thing or something that has happened or can happen, but I can imagine that one can copy, let's say, the function where the vulnerability is to the proprietary code, and obviously then the proprietary code can be vulnerable as well.
Thank you very much. Okay. Are there any other further comment or questions? Okay. So I'll move on to next, sharing next interesting challenge. This is a discussion on the February 17th. And we had a second discussion within Japan Working Group. And one interesting challenge is diversity of information and the lack of standardization. And to properly manage licenses and track vulnerabilities, there may be additional information required beyond the NTM minimum elements. For example, the build options or build environment details. However, there is no standard determining in which situations which information is necessary or how each field should be populated. And some tools lack adequate support for specific programming languages or package managers. This occurs in variations in the information collected fields used to record, and it depends on each tool's actually. And in the supply chain, package may be customized or repackaged, which can lead to inconsistencies with the original build information. So resulting in inaccurate regarding dependencies and details. And regarding to these challenges, we set 3 checkpoints and propose solutions and automation feasibilities. And one checkpoint is check the presence of NTI minimum elements as well as additional required information. And confirm differences in each file, each field outputs among various tools, and ensure consistency with original build information, even when repackaging and customization occurs within the supply chain. And the proposal solution is like this, develop guidelines within the industry or community to agree on mandatory fields and additional information. And I think this leads to the Shane's idea to share within some people. So I'd like to discuss later. And standardized mapping rules and conversion logic among various tools to automatically consolidate up to outputs into a standardized format. And establish operational rules and audit processes to ensure original build information is not lost during repackaging or customization. And to realize these processes and checkpoints, we consider about the automation. And an automatable point is convert tools outputs into standardized formats and automatically map and verify collected data against predefined checklists, including suggesting candidates for missing information. But still, we needed to check manually, necessary to handle specific project or environment variations, and to automatically detect and reconcile discrepancies. Sorry, I can't read, arising from customizations in the supply chain. These are our outputs from this discussion. So I'd like to ask you some comments or questions.
I'll go first. So I think on the proposed solution part, on developing the guidelines to have the mandatory and additional information, this is something which we are currently having, and some of the details are already being like made open source. So we have a schema which is on currently on the SPDX 2.3 and CycloneDX 1.4, and we are all already like working on the other schemas as well on the higher versions. So we have mandatory and optional fields, what how it should look like, and also the mapping for the same has already been something that we already have internally. So some information, as I said, is already made open source, and I think in the coming days we will be adding more data to this. So I think if all of you agree, then probably we could also look into that and see like what are the comments that you have, and how this can be further refined. So I would put the repository link here. Currently, it's not complete, but then I think in the coming days there'll be like more updates to it. So I think I'll just add it here, and then we could have a look into this probably in the coming calls. Is it okay?
where the new guidelines will be used, what the areas or what the industry can ask.
Sorry, can you come again?
Uh, uh, if I understand correctly, you are creating some guidelines in specific industries. So
Mm-hmm.
my question is, what industry is the guideline will be used?
It's not specific to any industry. So basically, what we have is the schemas, which contains mandatory and optional fields and also mapping. I think this could be a generic schema, that can be utilized across industry. So,
Oh,
uh, like we are from Bosch, so we are currently, I would say, like probably have it in the automotive domain, but then this is also something that can be utilized by others.
thank you.
Yeah. So I've dropped the link of the repository where we would be updating other schemas. So yeah, this is something which we could consider in the coming days. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Oh, okay. SBOM message Sepia. Okay, I know this. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
yeah, you're welcome.
Are there any comments or questions?
There was a very interesting there was a very interesting presentation at FOSDEM earlier this month, which went through all the different attributes that you could include in the SBOM. So you've got the NTIA minimum one, as you've stated. Most SBOMs even fail to do that, and that's the easy one. There are increasingly number of regulations which are asking for more information, and there's a danger that a lot of that information isn't freely available in the ecosystems. I would focus on less rather than more at this stage, because we need to get a good foundation first. The auto industry has just come up with a guidelines. I think they might have been driven from the US, about sharing. So maybe the previous talk speaker might be familiar with what they were talking about. But I think we just need to be very careful. We don't try and run before we can walk. And many of the commercial tools don't meet the minimum requirements and some of the open source ones do, but some of the commercial tools I've looked at don't meet the minimum standards. They have great difficulties sort of uniquely identifying the components, and that is probably one of the biggest challenges we've got to do is component identification.
I completely agree. Thank you. Yes. Actually, I'm from Sony Group, and we have many industry to provide some commercial products or commercial services. And each industry have another different guidelines. So it's very difficult to conform all guidelines. So it's a big challenge as well. So I'd like to know your company, your efforts, how to comply every guideline. It's very difficult, I think. Are there any comments or questions? Nothing? Okay. So this is the last slide from mine. So I realize there are many people to having similar challenges. and many people have solution ideas. So please discuss with. I think it's difficult to discuss in English because I'm from Japan and I'm not so good at discussing in English. So I organize Japan communities and discuss in Japanese languages and translate into English and bring here to and showing and sharing these discussions and results. So please discuss with your friends or with your local communities. And please share these challenges and solution ideas here. And then I will set up the meeting. So sharing your ideas and challenges here. So please let us know with a mailing list or directly to Shane or me. And please create issues on the GitHub and continue to discuss here. And at the first slide I mentioned, Yari-san created good first issues. And I will create convert to the discussions next time. So please create issues or discussions if you have. This is my request for the next time. Okay, that's all from my side, but I have questions from Yari-san.
Yeah, I can ask that, here loud. Like, do you or does anybody in this group know that if we have any people from, I don't know, Black Duck or POS ID or Scan OSS in this group? Because they most likely could comment some of the issues we have raised already.
Not Black Duck, but I'm open source. Just before FOSDEM, we had a gathering of lots of the open source communities, things like Physiology,
Yeah.
SW360, or Scan Code, etc. So I'm part of that community, and so I recognise a lot of the challenges. I think the intention is there are, through the Scan Code project or About Code, there are issues that are being looked at a community level, which I think would be useful. I haven't got the GitHub link, sorry,
Yeah.
but yes, there is certainly because of Europe, the Cyber Resilience Act is driving a lot of need. So this is already being quite a lot of the issues are being looked at. And
Philip is there, I guess.
Philip is very much
Yeah.
there. So obviously there was the standardization of Cyclone DX went through ECMA. Then there's a standardization of Perl, which is the package URL, which is going through this year. There's also the standardization of sharing SBOMs through a thing called Transparency Exchange API. So that's going through, whether that'll be this year or maybe next year. So there's lots of issues that are starting to be looked at sort of the concept level. The level of what goes into an SBOM, I'm slightly worried that the EU will come up with a different set of standards. There you are. Thank you, Marcel. I'm concerned that the EU may come up with slightly different needs that are different. I wish we would just have a global issue rather than perfect. So there's some good tools there. But we would try, one of the workshop ideas was to try and get the community, the users of the community, to drive the requirements rather than just the community generating the next great things. And I think we need to have more end users involved to drive the need. Because I think that's what the regulators are just coming up with ideas, but actually, are they the right ideas? Really, we want to see what are the ones that are giving value.
Thank you very much. Oh.
Yes, about participation of tool providers. We have an experience with ScanOSS in the telco working group. They are not participating to the meetings, but they have contacted us, and they are working to make the output of ScanOSS conformant to OpenChain Telco guide. So yes, perhaps you can contact them also in this work group.
Thank you very much. Oh, Marcel, thank you very much to share the OpenChain April event. Can you introduce this event?
Yeah, sure. So we planned in the OpenChain tooling group to make a workshop to work also on our catalog. So therefore, this pre-work from Philip was very good, and Oliver's also in the line. So where we have also the capability maps, standardized architectures, things like that. Why do we do it in Stuttgart? Because here we have the Fosland community is a regional activity that supports us also with the room. And also, I think, and that's a good side effect, we target also to have small and medium enterprises there. And I think that's a good test for us, right? Because if they understand what we provide, then we did it. Because sometimes, well, there's a lot of material and you get lost, right? And this is what we try to tackle there together with the tool representatives, focusing only on open source. That's perhaps one limitation there. But I think this is already enough. So with Oliver, we already always tried in the tooling group also to provide open source management tools in open source, so that is free and available for everyone in the supply chain. I think from that end it fits, and now, yeah, we have then potential uses in there that also provide us feedback. But as I said, as we also invited and promoted with all the tool providers from the open source side, we also plan to have those workshops, potentially even trainings, whatever. So this is, if you want to participate or also contribute in the program, please join us on the tooling group mailing list, where we are open for proposals. So we will refine the agenda in the next days, I would say, I hope. And also it's free, yeah. So, but you need to register. So if you see on the page, you'll see the registration link. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Oh.
Yeah, may I add something because of the commercial
Yes,
tool
please.
vendor. So we do not want to be, let's say, the marketing vehicle of commercial tool vendors. So that therefore it's focused on open source tooling, because they do not have that much marketing, and so we want to promote them, and not being, as I said, the marketing vehicle of commercial vendors. Furthermore, in regard to, I think, so in the end, we need experienced developers who know what they are including in the software they are creating, and so then the software bill of material be generated. But without knowledgeable developers who do not really know what they are all integrating, it's pretty hard to generate a complete and accurate SBOM. That's only my hands on that.
And also one addition that I forgot, because we called it OpenChain and Friends, because and there I'm happy I already get confirmation that, for example, Jon Kowalik from OWASP will be joining, and also OpenSSF. They try to get someone from Europe, so that we also try to use synergies with the security side of this story, right? Because we originally we were coming from open source compliance and tooling, and we saw now with software composition analysis that we have a common ground with security, potentially even others. And this is then also as we saw in the workshop of Philip, that they are, and also on the list of that we have there in the issues, that we have much more tools than just open source compliance, but also security. And I think there's also a good potential, because when we started, we said, okay, we cannot afford to reinvent the wheel because we are only a tiny community, right? So we need to really, manage our resources that we have, and then ideally we can find synergies. We might also identify gaps, and then provide also blueprints, and therefore this fits very well here with the discussion when we said, okay, we also would need to identify the use cases, right? So that as an SME, I will be potentially confronted by my customer, hey, I need an SBOM. And then they will be, what do I do now? And if we then provide a guidance, okay, here you can use either this blueprint with these tools or that blueprint with that tools, whatever, I think that would fit very well to this SBOM study group as well. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one request. As I'd like to join this this event, but are there any opportunity to participate in virtually? It's a little difficult to travel from Japan. Don't you consider the virtual meeting opportunity?
We discussed it, but we said we will do this one only on in person. Okay. But as we also have, as you also see in the list, we have so many topics. We said, okay, that we, and Shane was also in favor of that. If we say, if there are topics, then we can accompany this event with webinars upfront or afterwards, right? So then we can also here use the event to focus on socializing and discussions, but for having then more details about the tools, etc., that we for those where we do not have webinars yet, because we already have some. That's really cool. We have a good collection already, but that we can also get the presenters also hopefully to have either before or afterwards also a webinar in OpenChain.
Thank you.
And it's also not meant to be the last one. So if you, so Rakesh is also, I know he already left, but I also try to have this in several places in future, right? So on the one side here, being in southern Germany, revive also or respark our tooling group. But I think you already did a very good job there in Japan. So if we can then just make a summary of the event, we can also come and join your automation work group, Japan work group, and then just give a summary if you want.
Sure. Thank you very much for consideration.
Personally, so to add to Marcel's points, personally, I would love to have such kind of, as an outcome of this event, an action item list where let's say, webinars are listed, so we need more experience and more insights about X, Y, Z, and then we will be able to work concrete on needed, let's say, webinars, and that would be really nice as an outcome for me personally.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you very much, Oliver.
You're welcome.
And I realize that this is a very good activities. It is a key point to inform our challenges to input to the two vendors. It's mandatory for us. And in near future, it would be good to involve some, of course, there is some concerns, Oliver said, but I'd like to involve some commercial vendor companies to discuss our challenges and input our challenge to them. It's improves the SBOM qualities generated by the some tools. Okay, it's about 10 minutes before to finish. And I will recap today's discussion. And firstly, I shared the recap of previous meeting. And thank you very much. Good first issue from Jerry-san on the GitHub issues at the SBOM study group repository. And we'll continue to discuss next time. And I shared the result of Japanese discussion about the challenges we have about the SBOM from the perspective of SBOM qualities. But I understand that we need to discuss what is SBOM quality. This brings from the Marx. And next time I will bring some ideas or answers about this. Okay, so I'd ask at the end, I'd like to ask you and request to you to create the issues if you have any challenges and to create some, how can I say, we explored it's not decided, but I'd like to create some guidelines from OpenChain SBOM study group. So I create some guidelines and including these say checkpoints and proposed solutions and so on as some FAQs or and other sections. So please create issues or discussions on GitHub. Okay, that's all from my side. At the end, are there any questions or comments about this meeting? Nothing? Okay, thank you for attending today and have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you for hosting the meeting. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.